Started like any other Tuesday. The sun was high, the air was warm, and I was elbow-deep in chlorine and pool skimmers. Mrs. Evelyn Hart, the wealthy widow who lived in the sprawling estate on the hill, had hired me 6 months ago to maintain her pool. It was a straightforward gig. Clean the filters, skim the leaves, balance the chemicals, and make sure the water sparkled like the Caribbean. Easy money, and Mrs. Hart paid well. She was eccentric, sure, but kind in her own way. She'd often bring me lemonade and ask about my life, though I got the sense she wasn't really listening. Still, it was nice to feel seen, even if only for a moment. But today was different. I'd just finished scrubbing the tiles when she appeared at the edge of the pool, her silk robe fluttering in the breeze. She was holding a glass of iced tea. Her nails painted a deep crimson that matched her lips. Her silver hair was pinned up in a loose bun, and her eyes, sharp, calculating, locked onto mine. "Jake," she said, her voice smooth but with an edge I couldn't quite place. "I need your help with something." I wiped my hands on my shorts and stood. "Of course, Mrs. Hart. What do you need?" "The fountain. The garden hose." She shook her head, her gaze never leaving mine. "No, Jake. Something different. Come inside." I hesitated. In all the time I'd worked for her, I'd never been invited inside the house. The pool was my domain and the house was hers. But something in her tone made it clear this wasn't a request. It was an order. I followed her through the sliding glass doors and into the cool, dimly lit interior of her home. The air smelled faintly of lavender and something metallic like old coins. The walls were lined with art, paintings of landscapes, abstract sculptures, and a few framed photographs of Mrs. Hart with people I didn't recognize. She led me down a hallway and into a room I hadn't seen before. It was a study, filled with bookshelves and a large mahogany desk. On the desk was a small, ornate box. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a chair in front of the desk. I sat, feeling uneasy. Mrs. Hart took her place behind the desk and opened the box. Inside was a strange device. A sleek black cylinder with a glowing blue tip. She picked it up and held it delicately, as if it were made of glass. "Do you know what this is?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, ma'am." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "This, Jake, is a key. Very special key. And I need you to use it." I blinked. "A key? For what?" She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "For a door. A door that shouldn't exist. A door that leads to another place." I laughed nervously. "Mrs. Hart, I think maybe you've had too much sun. Maybe I should call someone." "No," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to make me flinch. "You don't understand. This isn't a joke. This is real. And I need your help." I stared at her, trying to make sense of what she was saying. She seemed serious, but none of this made any sense. "Mrs. Hart, I'm just a pool guy. I don't know anything about whatever this is." She sighed and leaned back in her chair, her expression softening. "I know, Jake. And I'm sorry to drag you into this. But you're the only one I can trust. You're different. You have a good heart. And that's what I need right now." I didn't know what to say. My mind was racing, trying to piece together what was happening. "What do you mean, a door to another place? Like, another world?" She nodded. "Exactly. A world that exists alongside ours but separate. A world of possibilities. And I need you to go there for me." I shook my head. "Mrs. Hart, this is crazy. I can't." "You can," she interrupted. "And you will. Because if you don't, something terrible will happen. Something worse than you can imagine." I felt a chill run down my spine. There was something in her voice, a desperation, a fear, that made me believe her. Against my better judgment, I nodded. Okay. What do I need to do? She handed me the device. Take this. When you're ready, press the button on the side. It will open the door. Go through it and find the thing I need. Bring it back to me. What thing? Yes. She hesitated, then said, You'll know it when you see it. Important. Fatal. And it's the only way to stop what's coming. I wanted to ask more questions, but she stood abruptly, signaling that the conversation was over. Go now, Jake. And be careful. The other side, it's not like here. It's dangerous. I stood, clutching the device in my hand. It felt warm, almost alive. Mrs. Hart, Go, she said firmly. And don't come back without it. I left the study, my mind reeling. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to run, to get in my truck and never look back. But another part of me, the part that had always been curious, always wanted to see what was beyond the horizon, was intrigued. What if she was telling the truth? What if there really was another world, just waiting to be discovered? I walked back to the pool, the device still in my hand. I stared at it for a long time, my thumb hovering over the button. Finally, I took a deep breath and pressed it. The air in front of me shimmered like heat rising off asphalt. Then, slowly, a door began to form. It was unlike any door I'd ever seen. Tall and narrow, with intricate carvings that seemed to shift and change as I looked at them. The surface was a deep, swirling black like a void. I hesitated, then reached out and touched the door. It was cold, and the moment my fingers made contact, I felt a pull, as if something was drawing me in. Before I could second-guess myself, I stepped through. The world on the other side was indescribable. The sky was a deep, swirling purple, with two suns hanging low on the horizon. The ground was covered in a thick, moss-like substance that glowed faintly. In the distance, I could see towering structures, spires of crystal and metal that seemed to defy gravity. The air was thick with a scent of ozone and something sweet, like ripe fruit. I didn't know where to go or what to look for, but I started walking. The ground beneath my feet was soft, almost spongy, and every step sent a faint ripple through the moss. As I walked, I noticed strange creatures in the distance, shapes that moved in ways that made my brain hurt to look at. They didn't seem to notice me, or if they did, they didn't care. After what felt like hours, I came to a clearing. In the center was a pedestal, and on the pedestal was a flower. But not just any flower. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Its petals were a deep, iridescent blue, and they seemed to pulse with a faint light. Around it, the air shimmered, as if it were bending reality itself. This had to be what Mrs. Hart wanted. I approached the pedestal cautiously, half expecting some kind of trap. But nothing happened. I reached out and plucked the flower from its stem. The moment I did, the world around me seemed to shudder. The sky darkened, and the ground began to tremble. I didn't wait to see what would happen next. I turned and ran, clutching the flower tightly in my hand. The door was still there when I returned, though it seemed smaller, as if it were closing. I dove through it just as the edges began to collapse. I landed hard on the ground, back in Mrs. Hart's study. The door vanished behind me, leaving no trace that it had ever existed. Mrs. Hart was waiting for me, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Did you get it?" she asked, her voice trembling. I held out the flower. "Is this what you wanted?"